What's up, everybody? This is Rich. We are back for another Nintendo video chat.
Pika, 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 pika!
I'm here with Sam.
Hey, everybody.
And I'm here with Altano.
It's a small crew today because everybody's sick.
It is a small crew. Audrey's sick, and
but we have a special guest. A giant can of Clorox wipes.
That's true.
What do you think, Clorox wipes?
Got sound effects and everything.
Yeah, that was the can.
Disinfect your houses, people. It's disgusting out there.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Wash your hands.
Brush your teeth.
Public service announcement.
Don't
Anything
keep
else?
your toothbrush in the bathroom.
Wipe your butt. Anything else? Are we missing anything?
Wait, where do you keep your toothbrush?
I really do keep it in the bathroom. But I was telling Rich, I was listening to a podcast last night where they were like, don't keep your... Or they're talking about somebody who didn't keep their toothbrush in the bathroom because of all the fecal matter in the air.
Wow.
And I was like, that's kind of smart.
Yeah, so it just occurred to me that we actually haven't done this in quite a while, and a lot of people have been sort of freaking out. And the reason why it's been so long is we actually lost an entire podcast right before break. We were doing one, and we lost it.
Yeah, and we're going to cover some of the same ground, I think. It was kind of looking forward. We know a lot more about the games we were talking about then, though, because we have release dates now.
We do.
For a couple games, but we still don't know much about Nintendo's year.
No, not at all. Yeah, so I mean, just as Sam sort of suggested, this podcast is all going to be about sort of looking back and looking forward, mostly forward at what Nintendo's got planned for 2013. One of the big things that's actually happened since we did our last podcast was Pokemon XY. Got announced, revealed, footage, release date, all that's our release month, actually.
I'm going back to it because, you know, Pikachu.
Look at Pikachu, he's so cute.
I mean, if only Audrey was here, she could speak to every single little detail in this trailer. But
yeah.
I've done a little bit of analysis of myself, and yeah.
I know that it's available for Nintendo 3DS.
Well done.
Red hats.
It's got towns in it.
It's got red hats.
But,
you can swing on vines.
I mean, the big
everybody's
different.
white.
I mean, here's the thing. For a few basic details from this thing, here's the starters, actually, for those of you watching and not listening. I mean, obviously, it's the series' first move into 3D, like a full 3D for the core series. From what I can tell, looking at the gameplay footage, a lot of it actually looks very similar. I think we're going to still be doing a lot of the familiar Pokemon themes, and sort of gameplay mechanics, but the battle system looks much better, just a lot more dynamic.
But you know what you do in every Pokemon game? You turn off that stuff because it takes too long.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
and by that stuff, I mean like the Pokemon puking on each other and slapping each other and stuff like that.
I will
Even
say,
though it looks really cool.
I turned it off ultimately because it gets kind of boring looking, and this stuff looks really dynamic, so it's kind of cool. I mean, I'll probably just leave it on for another hour or two though, and then turn it off. But yeah, so I mean, we don't know actually too much about it. The one really exciting
new Pokemon. That's I think the biggest deal.
Yeah, we know there's approximately 50 or so new Pokemon.
And that's
50
crazy
to 60.
to me. They usually add 150.
Black White was the most they'd ever added, and that was 150.
Really? That was the most?
I'm gonna make an announcement real quick. I'm going to play this game.
Oh,
really?
I'm excited. Oh, the one thing though, you mentioned new Pokemon. I think one of the more interesting things, at least since Black White, is that they're going to have the older Pokemon in there.
Yeah, from the start.
Right away. Yeah,
and that means they all had to be made into 3D, which I guess they were for like the Pokemon 3D Index.
Exactly.
And stuff like
I mean,
like
it kind of makes a lot of sense. Here we're looking at Castlevania. So yeah, I mean, let's just start right off. The basic, most obvious question is, what are you guys really excited for 2013 that we know about, Sam?
Well, I'm excited immediately, just like Brian is, I'm sure, for Rayman. If it would have come out and launched, I would have been more my excitement has been tempered by its delay. Like, I'm really disappointed that it was delayed. I wanted to play it in that big Christmas segment in which I had time to play games.
Yeah. Me too, but then I played New Super Mario Brothers, and then it died down a little bit, and then the demo came out, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Oh, that's right.
I'm back.
It looks so good on my TV and stuff.
It really,
too.
really does.
Once I got it into my living room, I was like, finally, I'm not at a press event, and I got to sit down and be like, oh man, this is a really hugely talented piece of gaming right here.
Yeah, I played each one of those levels a few times through, and every single time I was noticing little details, and I really like the way they're introducing a lot of 3D elements this time, and they're so seamless. Like, you'll see Rayman's character shoot out as a 2D character and then shoot out of a cannon or something and then turn 3D immediately, and it happens so fast you can't even tell.
So
there's a lot of cool tricks
and then
like
to finish my answer, I know it's kind of a cop-out, but I'm looking forward to what's not announced.
Sure.
I
mean, I'm looking forward to E3.
You kind of have to, though.
I mean, normally
what
I'd say
Pac-Man,
like, I've already looked forward to those games too long.
Yeah.
Like, those should be out, and I should be done with them. I want to be looking forward to the future of the Wii U.
We were joking about it a little bit before we started, like when we were downstairs, but I mean, we've been talking about the same games over and over and over again for about 9-10 months now. You know, Nintendo just really has not revealed much for Wii U. And I mean, the weird
this
thing.
is a big deal that we got Pokemon. That was a big deal.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm happy. But think of what else they have up their sleeves. If they have a new 3D Pokemon game ready for 3DS.
That sort of like hits at the sort of like underlying truth in all this, which is that 3DS is doing quite well, and we have a lot to look forward to, particularly in the next few months. Animal Crossing.
I can't wait for what I'm really mad about that is that all these sites are running all these stories about all these cool things that you could do in Animal Crossing already in Japan. Like they're like, check out all this exclusive New Year's content, and I'm like, we won't be able to get that for a year.
That thing is just blown up in Japan. I mean, 3DS is the console or system over there. And now portable gaming has always traditionally been bigger in Japan.
And Animal Crossing is like its brain age suddenly.
It's 4 million. I think it's 4 million sold. It's just insane.
Well, real life sucks. People want to live in Animal Crossing. That's what it comes down to.
The Animal Forest.
It's weird to me. Like that game, that series has just never really been my thing. But I think it's cool. I mean,
have you played any of them?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I almost dropped out of college playing the first Animal Crossing.
I know Goldfarb is super.
Did you have roommates that were playing it with you?
Yeah.
That was what it was all about. So like now I'm excited that we're all working in an office where we can all play this game together. Like, I've never had that much like community. Like in Japan, everybody's playing it. So like you go to school and you're playing Animal Crossing with your friends, and there's good like
and you're trading items and stuff like that. Like
that's gonna be interesting.
I've never had that before, so I'm really excited.
I've never had that either, and I actually do wonder if that might be the thing that pulls me in, is because we're all gonna be playing it, and that might actually pull me into it.
So Jeremy Parrish from 1UP has a Japanese version of it right now, and he has like he has on his big white DS XL. You know, and I just like seeing him do that. I'm just like insanely jealous of the Japanese population right now.
I will say right now, we just got Fire Emblem in a day or two ago, and that has completely devoured my time. I was messing with Far Cry, I was messing a little bit with Persona 4 and stuff like that, and then I was just like, oh, Fire Emblem. And I mean, it's got a presentation value, you know, just sort of
skip ahead to Fire Emblem on our
video
cuts,
that'd be great. Yeah,
I was checking out the demo last night. I was amazed at how good it looks.
So good. I have a few qualms about it. Audrey's actually the one reviewing it. Review will be on January 30th at, I believe, 9 a.m. Pacific. So you can see her full thoughts there. My basic observations are that, I mean, the gameplay is still as great as it ever was. They have a lot more sort of positional strategy that's going on, depending on where you are in relationship to your friends and allies, as well as you can actually pair the characters together and have them occupy the same tile. And give
Can you talk about the street passing stuff? I think that's the really interesting thing.
I mean, honestly, I don't know too much about it because I haven't done it. I mean, Audrey's the other one with the other person with the game, and she's out with the flu. But the basic idea is that you can set up a little street pass team, and then your team will fight other teams and some stuff like that. There's a lot of spot pass content too.
I was talking to another person reviewing the game for 1UP yesterday, and they were saying that the idea, and this is in the press release that they released too. This is like it's cool because the person appears in your game, and it's their like lead person like that they created, and then their like little squad or whatever it is, and you can fight them on the map, and you can beat them, and you can recruit them, or you can pay them to, or you can like buy items from them or something, or you can like pay them to a huge amount of money if they're a high level to recruit them without fighting them, which is kind of cool. So you can get your friends like high level character, but there's like a trade off. You can
That's really awesome.
Defeat
really
it,
cool.
or you can spend a lot of money.
I love the idea, and I'm really excited the fact that Marth is a free DLC character within I think the first week of the game's release, which is just cool.
See, I don't know anything. I've played Fire Emblem. I don't know anything about the universe beyond like because the character names I know from Smash Brothers.
Me too.
No, same here. I mean, honestly,
even like before we heard that Pokemon music, and I was like, oh, it's a song from Smash Brothers. That's all I know these things for.
And I'm not saying I'm not a Fire Emblem fan. I've played the games. I don't know much. Like, I didn't pay attention to the story.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We're talking about Fire Emblem, we're talking about Rayman, and we also have Aliens hypothetically coming sometime in February. I mean, that's sort of the weird thing about this is that, by and large, these are the first major games to come out for the Nintendo console, either console, in about 2 months. They've been a little dormant. I mean, 3DS has had some pretty good eShop content, a little, a few spread throughout there. Mega Man, Gunman Clive, and Unchained Blades.
I guess Crash Mode fits into that too. It came out in December, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I get so stuck in that game. I'm playing it right now in Bart like every day when I catch at the office. I don't know if you guys played through it, but like,
I've been playing it.
I had to look up 3 different solutions already. And I felt like a total idiot. We have a really good wiki guide for that one actually. Mike Burns did like a picture like walkthrough for each one.
I'll check that out. I get very stumped in that game,
and I get frustrated because I'm like, this is 3 of my daily commutes that have been stuck on this puzzle. But I gotta say, like, I don't like it as much, and here's why: is that I really like the Nintendo themed puzzles in the old one. And you can't do that in this one. So I just really like climbing over those giant 8-bit
Right.
Yeah, that was really
I
cool.
thought that was really cool. That like, oh, Nintendo worked with him on this, and just that little bit of it I really liked. And then I also liked that each puzzle is just kind of bigger and there's more to kind of figure out and stuff. And this, if you don't, it's so cool because there's like this like mathematical solution, and you can just not know that exists.
Yeah.
That like you can shift the blocks in this one easy way. You just miss that, and you just feel like such an idiot when you figure it out.
It is always funny when like you do
can't
like
play around as much as I guess what I'm saying. You always have to reset.
Yeah. No, I love sort of like taking 100 steps to do something and then realizing that I probably could have done it in 3 all along, and I was like, oh right, I'm dumb. Okay, so we've covered off what we are looking forward to. Also, just so people know, there is the whole R&D hardware restructuring that Nintendo is allegedly doing. We're actually going to cover on that next week. I want to talk about all the next-gen stuff next week. Sure. Because that's just a big topic on its own.
I'm looking at the list, too. Like, there's other big games that we should be looking forward to, but I don't know enough about. Like Monster Hunter might be really fun to play. I have no idea. I just don't know. I haven't been following that game at all.
Yeah.
And I don't play that series, but like I want to jump in at some point.
I probably can't talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, so that's the other thing.
You played the series though?
I have not.
Okay.
That's actually that and Fire
Charles
Emblem.
Onyet has done our reviews here for the most part.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and Keza over in the UK. Those are our 2 sort of big experts on this thing. But yeah, so when we talked about Rayman Legends, that's coming up February 26th. But we also got a variety of other release dates, either confirmed or announced yesterday, I guess it was, for 3DS and Wii U. So let's look at the Wii U side of things. You just mentioned Monster Hunter. We now know a date. We knew the month. We knew it was going to be March, but now both on 3DS and Wii U, it's coming out March 19th. Are either of you guys going to be picking that up? I mean, have you guys? You don't play it too much?
I have to read a review and watch a bunch of stuff because I don't know. Like I've heard mixed things about Monster Hunter series. Right. I've heard from some people like it's like a one-trick pony and like you play it once, but that's fine because I've never played it. So it's just like the bad stuff I've heard about it is like is irrelevant to me.
Yeah,
so.
I like the idea, and I mean, it's been weird for me to see Sony and Nintendo operate with portables and consoles and not really take advantage of this sort of thing. But I like the idea that I can play that game on my 3DS, make progress, and then go take it over to my console and do other things, and make more progress. I like that idea. You're seeing the footage here on the screen. I think what's interesting is, and I have not played it. It
also always looks like when I watch this game, it's like about fighting big things, but it doesn't look like you're connecting or doing anything interesting. It's kind of like it's almost like giving you kind of like turns for it. I don't like that type of gameplay. Like Ni no Kuni's kind of like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wish like maybe add like a Shadow of the Colossus element where you're stabbing stuff and climbing around. I know that's too much to ask from RPGs. But,
it strikes me as a very intricate, very detailed, involving a lot of preparation. As if a lot of these monster battles are just very significant deals. And killing this monster is a very big deal. That's what I've heard. And sort of its passing, very very passing resemblance to something like Pokemon is just totally. And the fact that you're going after monsters, and that's it. One of them you're capturing them, befriending them, and everybody's happy. And this one you're trying to actively kill things. So
and I know I just brought it up by like just because it
good off
to me,
screen. That's all moving around.
I think Nintendo fans should actually check out Ni no Kuni. We did the review for it, and like a bunch of people were playing in the office, and it looks like the type of RPG that used to only be on Nintendo systems.
Yeah,
it's like this, and it has a very Pokemon element.
Yeah, you
collect
capture
monsters and you do Pokemon in it. I mean, that's what it's like. It is a 3D Pokemon type game, but I've heard people say like, oh, that's doing this game a disservice because it's better than Pokemon, but it's different. It's not the same type of game. And like you're not winning badges. And
I love the fact that when 2 games are similar, everyone immediately has to be like, all right, well, which one's better?
Yeah,
it's like, maybe they're just different. And maybe they're both good.
Crazy, old school Japanese RPG, and old school in the sense that you grind way too much. It looks like, but I'd still, what, I can handle that once a year.
I've never been a fan of grinding RPGs. That always bugs me.
Yeah,
I lose interest when I have to keep repeating myself over and over, and I don't feel like I'm really getting anywhere. I know some people that
I like feeling powerful after working for a long time.
No,
I think that's
absolutely.
a cool aspect of it,
I think if you're doing something like that on like the Wii U gamepad or the 3DS or something, and you have something else going on in the background on your television, then it's an okay thing, right? Like I'll grind.
Really good.
I'll grind on a handheld game because it's not everything in my whole house. Like people will come over and not
sort
have
of
to
do
sit
it a
there
little
and,
passively.
yeah,
and,
you know, like I live with my girlfriend. I'm not going to make her sit there and watch me fight the same iron golem 600 times in a row to get a rare ore.
That's a really good point, and that's why I think I've done that with Dragon Quest, and then also with Pokemon. If you're just like running around hunting Pokemon or leveling up your Pokemon, like you can do that and watch TV. Like that's great. So it is hard to sit in front of a big TV and like see this beautiful game, but realize like I'm gonna fight this little like
over and over again.
And I mean, I think that's one of the cool ideas. We're on Pikmin now, but I think that's one of the cool ideas behind Monster Hunter is the fact that you can do the portable stuff, and maybe grinding might feel a little more appropriate when you're playing on the subway or a bus or something like that, and you're like, oh, I'm ready for this giant battle. Okay, now I'm gonna go take it to my console and have a giant battle on my TV.
So I'm hoping that connects with me because I want something like that right now.
Yeah,
to play across my Nintendo system.
The idea of Monster Hunter is really appealing to me. I will be curious to see if I actually enjoy it as I'm actually thoroughly playing.
I don't know how none of us have like encountered this series yet. It's just so funny. Like it's always
such a
around,
small series here, you know. It really is. I mean, they tried.
Plus, it's been on PSP and stuff like that.
Yeah, Capcom tried to bring it to PSP a little bit, and it just didn't quite work out. They brought it to Wii. At that point, I want to say like I was a little bit done with Wii. I'd moved. My focus had really kind of hit 360 at that point.
I was. I played the Wii version for about 20 minutes and was just like, you know what? It's not connecting with me. I don't have the focus for it. Like, I jumped in ready to fight monsters, and they made me stay in some RPG town talking for 45 minutes, and I was like, I don't want to.
I do know there is a ramp up where you have to like you're making your armor, you're getting your weapons, you're shopping, you're doing all these things, you're getting the quests, and then there's the fact that, to my understanding, if you want to go fight and kill a monster, you got to be ready for this thing. You're not just gonna go walk out and just bonk it over the head and be like, well, that was easy, you know. So, so let's see, what else do we got? Lego City Undercover. So that's on March 18th, one day before Monster Hunter. I am baffled that Nintendo and Capcom did not coordinate on this. I feel like, I mean, I understand they're kind of different audiences, but
God, this looks so fun.
This game is awesome. I know a lot of people are just sort of going, "Oh, it's another Lego game."
So it's Lego San Francisco. I didn't realize this.
Yeah, I see like the Golden Gate Bridge.
It's a hybrid, right? It's a hybrid of like New York and San Francisco and everything. So you'll see like the Brooklyn Bridge in the background, but then you'll turn around and you'll see that pointy building that's in San Francisco. I don't know what it's called.
Transamerica Pyramid.
There you go. Yeah, I just called it the pointy building.
Triangle-y.
Yeah,
I can see it right there. I can see it in the background.
Yeah, exactly. It is very much like Legos, the other Lego games that you've played, maybe like Pirates of the Caribbean or Batman or whatnot. I mean, obviously you look at it and that's what you're doing. However,
what you mean in terms of like climbing around, collecting blocks, building stuff,
yeah, exactly.
But it's also a giant open world game, which is makes a big difference.
It does definitely
with
have
full voice acting, right?
Full voice acting, and the other part that's noteworthy about this is it's an original game. It's an original story and property, which means they're freed from like, oh, we can only riff on Batman or whatever. Instead, what they do is they kind of just riff on everything, and it's very much like an old school '80s cop drama.
Yeah, that was a weird thing to me because like there's all these references to like Starsky and Hutch and all that stuff that like a 10-year-old kid today will not get, but I will sit there geeking out to.
And this is the thing is like people our age are going to sit there and be like, oh man, they totally did the X reference or Y reference. And I think for kids who obviously will be interested in this, they're just going to think it's funny and silly. And that's cool too. The other thing that we just found out the other day is that the 3DS version, which we hadn't heard about since E3,
we haven't seen yet either.
We have not seen it, but that's coming on April 21st, 1 month later, and it's kind of weird timing. But
is he holding a little? He was holding a little gamepad there. That's
yeah. The gamepad is sort of your little device, kind of like how Luigi holds a DS in Luigi's Mansion.
He does.
Yeah, he's got a DS because in the original game he had a Game Boy Advance, I believe. So yeah.
What does it do? Does it show ghosts or
something? Well, it's just his like communicator device.
Oh, but it just looks like it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Funny.
It also outsells the Vita.
Damn.
In game. But yeah, this looks really fun. I'm seeing a lot of comparisons to Grand Theft Auto, but from what I've read, it's not really like that. It's a little more bite-sized. I mean, in terms of mission-based stuff.
There is, you can get your cars and stuff like that. But so the one thing about the 3DS version of Lego City Undercover is that it's actually a prequel, and that's kind of cool. It's a little weird that it's coming out a month later, but whatever. Here we're taking a look at Luigi's Mansion. I think this is the one game that everybody really, really wanted. A release date for, and
or maybe a Halloween release date for,
seriously, we wanted a while ago, but that's coming March 24th.
When was the last time you guys played the original?
Oh, I played it literally the day I got my GameCube and never again.
Really?
Yeah. Did you finish it?
I beat it. I beat it in one day, and then I was like, all right,
I got it much later. I got it like maybe 5 years ago, and like I started playing it. I was like, wow, the great lost GameCube launch title. I've never played it, and then I played it for a couple hours, and I didn't like it at all.
Really? Yeah. I mean, had you played it for another 20 minutes, you would have finished it.
Maybe.
It was about 3 hours long. But it's a fun little game. It's got a lot of charm. This one actually looks really cool in terms of the setting. Like it's not just in this tiny house with a backyard. They bring you all over the place here. It looks like multiple mansions.
We're still a couple months away from this, and Nintendo has more to reveal about the game, I'm sure. We tend to find out a lot more in the last couple months before a game releases. But yeah, I mean, from what I've played, I played it last December, I guess, and it's just, I mean, you can just see it on the footage if you remember much about the original game, but there's just a lot more complexity in terms of the battles you're doing.
Yeah. This trailer, I actually hadn't seen it. It actually looks really cool.
Honestly, I don't think I've actually seen this trailer. A lot of times when all this stuff floods out.
It over again,
yeah, definitely.
I will say that one of the coolest things about this game was being able to use dual analog controls with a rumbling controller.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that is
because it was just like you're operating a vacuum cleaner and you're sucking in these ghosts. So neither of those things are going to be available.
Yeah. I mean, I played it. I can't remember how the controls work.
Stylus? It just functions reasonably well. No, basically, I mean, he moves around kind of how you would expect with just a single analog slider. But then when you actually start to actively vacuum,
how do you point your flashlight? Is he doing that automatically?
No, so the flashlight is actually a little less important. You use the strobe to stun a ghost, and then you activate the vacuum. And
you kind of like you peek around the darkness a little bit like that, and then you shock them with the flashlight, and then you whip out the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, the emphasis is a little less on like aiming everywhere. There is still some of that. You will still have to aim upwards, and there is some of that. But the game is more forgiving in that sense, which I think is good because, like you said, there's no
the original, you were literally vacuuming every corner of everything, just but constantly.
I will say there is
a house in Skyward Sword.
This game is actually like you'd sit there and be like, oh, I'm just ghost busting, but like there is a lot of puzzle solving in this, and I've run it. When I was playing the demo back, at the end of the year, like there's a lot of how do I figure out this puzzle? Oh, this door is locked. Where's the key? And there's a lot of really, really clever elements in this game. Cool. It is far more.
So it's like Metroid.
Yeah, the original actually really clicked with me in terms of just sucking up ghosts is like a very rewarding thing. It's fun. It's kind of just like you walk into a room, you clear all the enemies, and you walk out.
I mean, here's the thing about this game is I loved the original as an idea.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it was a very good, complete game.
Yeah.
This is the game that the other one should have always been, really, is what it comes down to.
You can only imagine how rushed that other game must have been.
I'm sure. It's a launch game.
You have to make a 4-hour game to put inside our GameCube.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that was the weirdest thing about that, right? Was that we were like, oh, man, Nintendo has this new system. It's crazy. It's got this brand new controller. Remember their last system? It launched with Mario 64.
Yeah.
Well, here's a game where you can't do any of that shit. And I was just like, what? This is weird. So they would just, all of a sudden you're playing Luigi's Mansion on the day one of GameCube, and you're like, this, I mean, maybe a year or two in, if they're like, we have this fun little thing.
It was almost destined for disappointment just because of how it was positioned, where it was in the lineup. It was a launch game, and it was
how
unfortunate.
Weird is it that they were just like, Mario is like, it's just weird that Luigi got associated with these haunted mansions. I just think that's bizarre. And he looks for Mario in him, right?
What?
That's what he does. That's the point of it.
Well, I think
no, he does. Mario's locked up.
He's like calling out Mario's name.
In the first one,
he gets this letter.
He wins
every
a
Nintendo
mansion.
character. The game starts where he gets a letter and it's bullshit, and he shows up and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, your uncle left you a mansion, which I guess Mario and Luigi's uncle dies. Leaves him a mansion, then he shows up and like finds out Mario's locked up in the basement. So he's like looking for him. And Nintendo's done this for years. Like,
what do you think their uncle's name is? Tony?
Yeah, that's
probably.
This one's
Tony Mario.
This one's a little different. The Dark Moon. There's the Dark Moon, and it unleashes some spirits, and he's got to go figure it out.
That's
about as deep as Nintendo games get, really, which is fine.
So
you don't
it's
even
pretty
care.
much the same plot as Donkey Kong Jr., right?
Yeah.
Where Mario's locked away.
I was just thinking that there's a weird history of games where like Mario gets locked up and you have to save him. I think even Super Princess Peach, she had to rescue Mario.
Yeah.
So it's weird.
No, I guess in Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong's locked up by Mario.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Nice. But he's locked up. So something's going on with Miyamoto unlocking people. With the princess always.
Yeah. And so going over to Wii U, we're sort of ping-ponging back and forth, but who cares? there are several games that are still just sort of lurking out there, and the announcements yesterday didn't help that at all. Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101, Game & Wario, and Wii Fit U.
Yeah.
All games that were
I have some good Wii Fit U footage.
Nice.
I think it's of Audrey playing.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, yeah, this is at E3. So actually at E3 they said they hold on, sorry, changing the volume. So they announced that all this was due in the launch window. Now they're saying first half.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Launch window technically.
This game was done.
The window just keeps getting bigger.
I honestly, yeah, exactly. Which sort of helps them evade the maybe it still makes the launch window. The launch window ends at the end of March, which was already a horrifically large launch window.
I mean,
to begin
anybody who's a Nintendo fan knows that this is all part of it. You buy a console and then they announce games and then you don't see them for years at a time. Sometimes it happens. Like even Luigi's Mansion, we're like, what the hell's taking this game so long?
If I had to guess, like a game like Luigi's Mansion, I suspect runs into some development issues and they're trying to work them out and they're trying to fix it.
Yeah.
That game seems more complex. If I had to guess, something like Wii Fit U, they're honestly just trying to spread out the release list a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you believe we're going to be able to use our balance boards again?
No.
I think
that's okay. The new Need for Speed that's coming to Wii U, you can use your steering wheel.
It would be an exercise just trying to find where I put that thing. That would be working.
They're gonna have. I mean, like Wii Fit was brilliant. It did so well, and it hit that brain age audience that who knew that would work out so well.
Yeah, this is Game & Wario.
There's no way they can make that work with this.
Oh no, this is still Wii Fit U. Oh, okay, cool.
But this is like a completely different game.
It's much more gamey.
Like everybody's already done the Wii Fit thing. I don't know who this is for.
This one seems a lot more. Audrey did this at E3. I didn't even. I don't even think you guys played it. I don't even think I played it. But it struck me as being
Reggie
much
chuckled.
more. Yeah, that's right. He was watching you guys play. It strikes me as more game-like, though, more mini-game-like, maybe Nintendo.
So if it's not
landish.
for, like, yoga 20-something or mom or grandma, then who wants to play a bunch of these mini-games where I also have to buy a bunch of extra equipment? I just don't get, what this is for.
I know.
I'll play it, because we have all this crap in the office, and there'll be some fun stuff to play.
Do we have a balance board in the office? I don't even know.
We probably have mine.
Yeah.
It's worth hiding the last
I still have one under my couch.
That was sort of the weird thing about the Wii. Wii went sort of dead for such a long time that a lot of our old Wii stuff is just not here. We just don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wii Fit U.
There's a story behind that I can tell you someday. I can't talk about it on the
Game
air,
& Wario
but I know
looks
where all
great.
the Wii stuff is.
Just burned them in a pile or something.
It's in storage, quote unquote.
No doubt,
Really?
no doubt. I don't know. I mean, like, do any of these games not coming out, frustrate you? I mean, to me, the biggest one to me actually is Wonderful 101. That's the one I want.
Yeah. Again, like if all these games had come out at launch, like they
then we'd
probably
be still
should've.
pissed. Yeah.
No. Well, then we'd be hearing about new games. So I feel like this is like filling in this gap. These should be launch titles.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, I want to hear about the other stuff. I don't even I don't care if these come out.
I want
anymore.
Super Mario Galaxy 3. Like the rest of this stuff is nice.
Like Pikmin should have been biding my time until I got the announcement from Mario Galaxy.
I honestly am not at all surprised by this, just because Nintendo likes to announce things at E3. They don't often announce things outside of that. Pokemon's different. That's a different company that manages that sort of announcement. I'm not that surprised that they tried to stretch it out a little bit. When I knew all these were coming, when these were all supposed to come hypothetically kind of by the end of March, I was sitting there going, well, what's April, May?
Yeah.
What's June?
So then we also know some games that have been announced, like Smash Brothers, which we haven't seen anymore. Like I have a feeling like they're probably gonna have that playable at E3, and that's gonna make E3 a big deal. But like, I hope they also announce some more stuff, and I hope it's for this year.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, we're going to be talking about some of these ideas in excess. Oh well, and actually, speaking of the future games, that was one of them. But what do you guys really think needs to happen? Let's talk specifically for Wii U, because 3DS is doing pretty well. It's got a pretty decent year ahead of it. But what do you guys need for Wii U to be interesting to you in 2013?
So they need to hit hard with a bunch of new ideas. They need to give us they need to basically say this is what the next 2 years is going to be like owning this console.
Yeah,
right?
I'd like
Not
to
even
see,
just
like,
the rest of this
story.
year.
Like this is what we're gonna do with this system. Like that's exactly right. I want to know what their plan is, their 2-year plan, I can be excited about that instead of like, these are a couple titles that we've already told you about and they're coming out this year.
We're sort of getting piecemeal information from them, and by E3. Even before then, we will probably know all about the next-gen consoles coming from Sony and Microsoft.
We absolutely will.
Absolutely will. And then that's going to be like, well, Nintendo, show your cards. Like, Nintendo at E3 needs to be like, these are our next 5 giant flagship games.
Yeah.
Here's Smash Brothers in action, here's Zelda in action, here's Mario, here's something brand new you've never heard of, and here's things that you can only do on this console.
That's what's been so frustrating to me is, and you guys are exactly right, it's the vision of this thing, and not from like oh, I see the magical potential in this controller. You know, that's fine, but that was E3 2011.
Yeah.
And E3 2012, and I've said it a long time, but like that was their chance. Like now in 2013, they get to probably, I mean, like 99% sure deal with a new Xbox and a new PlayStation, and they have to try and stand out against that. And that is going to be very, very difficult. Had we already...
Yeah, this is their time to establish, like,
was.
this is the system you want.
It really was.
Like, they're just squandering it.
Honestly...
Well, they're blowing their year head start right now. Like, people need to take that year, they need to get people... As much of people's money as possible, so people go, well, I just bought a next-gen console this year, or I'm going to wait a year or two for the Orbis or whatever.
Not, even if not get their money right now, just make sure that people like are going, oh, I need to put my money away aside for this thing. I mean, that was what's been so frustrating about this to me. I get you want your launch. I get you need to focus on your launch. But now the launch has happened, and I literally know nothing.
Yeah.
And
it's frustrating because we all play the Wii U and know, like, this does have potential. This has some really cool stuff. Like,
but potential doesn't sell
they're
things,
the people that are and they're the people that are creating games that are excited about probably games they haven't told us about, and I want to be excited about that stuff.
I'm curious. Like, I mean, obviously, it seems almost inevitable that all this comes at E3. But do you think Nintendo should like say screw E3 and do it now? Like, do you think they should hold an event and say, "Here's Mario"?
Yes. What I think they need to do is, and you guys ran a feature the other day about like the 3DS's renaissance, right? How the first couple months it was kind of on the ropes, and it was like, what's going to happen with the system? It's going to fail. The Vita's going to outsell it. All this bullshit, and it didn't, right? And they turned it around with a couple key titles. They need to do that this fall. They need to go, hey, it's the Wii U's launch again. And they need to go, here's Smash Brothers. It's going up against, Doom 5 or whatever the fuck they want to put on 360 and everything else.
You know what's been so strange is like when I saw 3DS show up and it had a weird launch and you're kind of like, what's going on with this? I felt like Nintendo was very aggressive in being like, all right, fair enough. Here's Mario 3D Land. Here's Star Fox. Here's all these things. Oh, and price cut. Oh, and boom, 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 boom. And what's weird to me is I haven't seen any of that with Wii U. And I mean, we're about 3DS launch.
Although I think they solved the launch. I mean, I think their launch was really strong. They had so many third-party games. We just played them all.
It was a good launch.
But for other people who hadn't, like, I played Assassin's Creed on my Wii U. Yeah, that was really cool. I loved Mario.
I think a lot of people are mistaking this as like that. Well, I still have games to play, so what the hell are you talking about? And it's not.
But now we're in that summer after
what Nintendo's
3DS
missing
launch,
right now is that they have this tremendous back catalog of amazing stuff. That on the 3DS they were like, oh shit, okay, make Zelda look better, make Star Fox look better. That'll hold them over. We're gonna work on Kid Icarus, Mario, all these other things. You play these old things. Right now, what is stopping them from going, here's Wind Waker in HD. Remember this game? Play it for 30 hours, play it for a month. While you're doing that, we're going to be working on some new stuff. But just here, watch this, like, shiny item over here.
Or Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess. I mean, like, these are the things that, like, we can be playing.
I would replay all of these games in HD.
A giant HD Zelda collection, right? I mean, and that's something that could be announced today and put out tomorrow.
Put out a double pack of the Galaxy games. Galaxy 1 and 2 for $50.
Put it on HD. Just put it on eShop. Just put it on eShop. Here's the weird thing.
Let's start a new Nintendo.
They have the right idea, which is weird that I'm saying this, even though we're complaining, but, like, at the very beginning
complaining, just like hoping.
It's frustration a little bit, but like just 2 weeks ago, you're sitting there going, okay, 3DS has got some good stuff, but what's that big thing? Oh, here's Pokemon.
Yeah.
They have the ability, and frustrating enough for me and Audrey and the guys that have to write about this stuff like Goldfire, but like they'll tell us like 6 hours ahead of time, like, by the way, at midnight tonight we're gonna like drop some news, and you're like,
they do it on the heels of like Animal Crossing selling billions of copies, right? They're like, hey, we are winning this thing right now, but we're gonna rub a little more salt in Sony's wound here.
I mean, but I mean, here's the thing, right? Is like, at this point they have to, and they really ought to, and I really hope they do. They did it with Pokemon, but like every month just do a Wii U specific Nintendo Direct. Go GameCube games. They're here on eShop coming like now.
Well, that was the thing too.
HD
I mean,
ports,
with the original Wii, like they got people like me and people a few years older than me who had kids who bought a system for their kids to go, hey, this is the first Christmas with the system. They're pushing this virtual console thing very hard. The original Super Mario Brothers was available on Christmas Day for the Wii during its first launch, or its first few months, right? This time they've completely dropped the ball with Virtual Console on the Wii U.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So why not just say, here's our back catalog of shit. We're going to piecemeal, start sending it out. People will buy it all over again.
They have a tremendous opportunity. E3 is great. It does have a super, super. It has a lot of potential. You can do a lot of great things at E3. But if they hope that E3 is going to change everything about Wii U, I don't know that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think if you do monthly, and they don't have to be huge announcements. You don't need to show me Mario, Zelda, and all these things every month. Just do a lot of incremental news bits about Wii U and Nintendo Direct, and then at E3 show me.
I can't even think about anything else but an HD Wind Waker at this point.
Yeah,
you ruined it, Brian.
Well, I really feel like Nintendo,
so amazing.
Nintendo more
with
than any other
on
company.
The screen on the bottom, and you can draw your little ship path.
Honestly, here's the thing: even if they didn't go that far, because that would take a fair amount of R&D and like actual development effort. Just give me the GameCube games on my Virtual Console.
Or check this out.
No
what
problem.
about 3DS games HDified? You could take those amazing Spirit Tracks and what's the other one? Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah.
Do the 2 screens.
Oh, DS
Just
games.
port the lower screen to the lower screen, and then make an HD version of the upper.
Sure.
Oh my God!
Well,
high resolution.
Now think about this. Like all of these things would sell incredibly well, and you can't have this conversation on the PlayStation side or the Xbox side.
Yeah.
Where you go, where are these nostalgic heartstrings?
It's harder to have the legacy content,
right? I mean,
it's
look
tougher.
at PlayStation All Stars, right? That came out, and by the time you get to the 6th or 7th character in there, you're like, who the hell is that?
I honestly,
who's this cat?
I fired it up, and I mean, I
Like
think it's a reasonable game, but yeah, I fired it up, and I was looking at the roster, and I was just like, I know you.
Exactly. And even if it's the most fun thing in the world, nobody has this, like, the memories they do,
It's
like
just
they
different.
do with Nintendo systems and Nintendo games. Like
Nobody as old as us.
Well, yeah. But I mean, the 25th anniversary of Mario is always going to be a bigger deal than the 10th anniversary of Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
Always.
Sure.
That's just how this works.
Well,
Yeah.
and like those they have their Metal Gear, right? That's a
Yeah.
big deal. Castlevania is usually on those systems now. But,
Yeah, it's I don't know. I really feel like even after all these release dates, I still feel like Nintendo has a lot of work to do Wii U side.
all these release days, we got 3, right?
Well, no, I mean, we got Monster Hunter, Need for Speed is also March 19th, Lego
okay.
City Undercover, Rayman Legends, hypothetically, Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101,
Most
Game of
Wanted is
Mario.
coming to Wii U, and that's what you can use the steering wheel for.
To me,
Yeah.
right now, Nintendo, they're showing their hand for a lot of games that I think 2 or 3 years down the line, if you just bought a Wii U and you're looking to fill out your back catalog, you'd go and you'd get the Wonderful 101. You'd get Pikmin 3.
Yeah.
But right now, they need the Mario Galaxies. They need the
Yes.
Wind Wakers. They need the Zeldas type. They need those, like...
They still don't have like a proof of concept like game. It's just like this is the game that makes the Wii U exist. Like
Well,
they
they
must
did
have
the same
designed
thing-
the Wii U to do this, right?
They did the same thing with
like
the
Miyamoto
3DS.
must have had an idea.
Do you remember the 3DS?
It was like,
They were
do
like,
this.
hey, it's Pilot Wings. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay. And they're like, you can use gyroscope. And you're like, okay. And 3D. But just not at the same time because that'll kill you. And you're like, all right, well, what am I supposed to do with this thing?
Or the submarine game.
Yeah, exactly.
Steel
Which
Diver.
was like
Yeah.
just boggling that they would. That would be like, we're gonna sell this new thing.
That should have been a
with submarine-
flagship like
And
eShop
then-
game.
That should have been an eShop game.
And then come GDC, Mario 3D Land, and then everybody's like, "Oh, that's why we need a 3DS."
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
why can't we?
And see, that's the weird thing, right? Is like you look at the 3DS, it had barely been out for I don't even know if it had been out a month, and GDC happens to like 3D Land, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's what I need right there. And you understood, that's their future roadmap. We're getting 3D Land, in about a year or whatever, less than a year. And we haven't gotten any of that for Wii U, and I'm just
Maybe
like,
we're
where
just
is
complaining
this?
because we're just in the zone. Like looking back on the 3DS now, I'm like, oh, I have no complaints. But because
Yeah.
I could not, I could recommend that system to anybody. I think it's the best system out. I love it.
Which one?
The 3DS.
Sure.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's so
absolutely.
good. And like, I hopefully will feel that way about the Wii U someday. I don't think I ever felt that way about the Wii.
Just one question. We get a lot of this from. I'm going to
3DS
try and
though.
work in some reader questions before we get out of here. We're actually answering a lot of them. But when do you guys think we will get Animal Crossing on 3DS? Do you think we get it in the summer, or do you think it's like the September or even a November
I
title?
really hope summer. If this
Summer's
is
my favorite time to play.
this would be like
that's
the
my favorite
very
season.
olden days of localization. If we have to wait literally a year to get this game.
It's actually funny that Pokemon solved it, because Pokemon you used to have to wait 6 to 8 months for.
Yeah.
Now we're getting it the same month, maybe not same day. It's hard to say. And Animal Crossing, we're just sitting here going like, guys, yeah.
I mean, and that is an event-based game. So by the time we get that, they will already have had their first Christmas, New Year's, summer solstice, all the other stupid holidays they put in there.
This sort of addresses a variety of people's questions. Do you think that Wii U needs an original, brand new IP from Nintendo to be interesting in your eyes, or do you just want at this point Zelda, Mario?
It has Game and Wario.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so we gotta
it does. To be
look
fun.
at it like during the Wii era, they took Super Mario and they made Mario Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
And that really changed things. During the GameCube era, they took Metroid and they made Metroid Prime. They made, Wind Waker and stuff like that. So I think there's room for them to take their IPs and put them into new realms, and more so than just Nintendo Land did, where it's like, you like Donkey Kong? Here's a Tilty game.
It's like a me theme.
But I also remember how excited I was when Pikmin came out and be like, wow, this is completely, this is Nintendo. It feels like Nintendo, but it's brand new and it feels totally different.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd like to see what they do with it, but it'd have to be like, just completely well thought out and made for the Wii U. I don't know how.
I kind of hate the critique of like, oh, all of Nintendo's IPs are boring and old, and they need new ones. I reject that as stupidity. But like, because you look at something like Mario Galaxy. Mario Galaxy was unlike anything we had really seen in a Mario game before. It just happened to also feature Mario, and I hate the fact that Mario games are all the same. It's like absolutely not.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, Nintendo gets a lot of crap for having just a few small franchises and using them here and there. Yeah. But they, aside from Mario, they don't annualize any of them.
Very, very
right.
Low.
That's what's important. That's the key thing, because when you play a Halo over and over again, I love Halo. I still like Halo 4, but like I'm so sick of it as being a sequel.
Well, they're familiar.
It's too close together.
There's a Call of Duty every year now. There's an Assassin's Creed every year. There's a Need for Speed every year.
I would say more
Assassin's
importantly,
Creed is the worst.
Is all those experiences are familiar, right? Whereas Mario, and here's the stupid thing that bugs me.
Familiarity.
Mario Galaxy sold, I think, 10 million copies. I'm just going to say 10 million for the sake of it. If it had featured an original character like frickin' Billy Hatcher or something horrible, it would have sold nothing. I know, right? It'll have sold nothing. And that's the thing. And that's why Mario's on it.
Do you guys remember Project Hammer? That dumb GameCube demo of a guy swinging a hammer, and everyone's like, "It's new." Yeah, it's like it's garbage.
How much? That's the thing is like, do you want this shit to sell? Like these really amazing, great playing games
I don't care
to
if they
sell?
But I want them to be good.
I want them to sell because I want more of them, and I want Nintendo to keep making more original ideas. And if that means that I have to play as Mario to have the crazy original experiences, then so be it. I'm fine
I just think it's funny that we are constantly demanding of Nintendo, who's made some of the most recognizable characters in the history of not only this medium but entertainment period. To reinvent the wheel every single year and be like, oh, come out with a new guy. He's like a bug with a top hat. And
that's a good point.
Now sell 10 million copies.
Do we want them to make a Poochie, is what you're saying?
Exactly.
No, exactly. We don't want them to make a Poochie. That's a really good point.
The other thing about all this is like, I feel like Nintendo gets held to very different standards, and I understand why they make, they set a bar at a certain level, and so they're held to those standards. But it's also like telling a Ferrari, telling Ferrari, make the best Ferrari ever. Oh, and also it had better fly, and also
can't be named Ferrari.
It can't be named Ferrari. Also, it had better sell 10 million copies because I want another one like that, but it has to be different. And it's just like, come on, guys. Like,
well, that's because the best game Nintendo is good at developing is terrifying and confusing the shit out of its own audience. Like we're always guessing. We never know. We're like, are you gonna play by the rules? We have this big trade show. Everyone's coming to show their games, and they're like, nah.
Yeah.
We're like, come on, show us something. Like, nah, we're going to launch with a diving game, and then a couple months later, here's a new console that has a bunch of ports on it. But don't worry, you'll be playing things you'll love eventually.
I think the strangest thing, because we're sort of like talking about like, why aren't they saying anything? Why aren't they saying anything? It's so funny how Nintendo's willing to get rid of so many of the conventional wisdoms of everything in terms of everything. Look at its controller, look at this, look at that. And yet it still holds to E3, which is kind of this old archaic way of doing things. And yet we're still sitting here going like, we're probably going to have to sit there and wait till E3.
Yep.
And that's weird to me because they also have Nintendo Direct, which they just show up out of nowhere with.
Yeah. You know what my favorite redesign that could possibly exist for any of their characters would be for Donkey Kong. I want them to redesign Donkey Kong and make him look different and just be different.
Guns and cars.
I don't like how he looks.
Guns and cars?
I don't like Rare's Donkey Kong, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, retro, right?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like how. It was beautiful and it was fun or whatever. I just don't like the idea of it. Yeah, I'm sick of Donkey Kong looking that way.
Trying to find some more questions in here just to dig around and see. Let's see. Just a few other dates that I don't think we mentioned. Pandora's Tower is actually coming out for Wii, thanks to Xseed, who actually...
Wow, that's bizarre.
Xseed actually has the balls to release some of these like kind of more niche,
game's gonna be rare.
Stuff.
Everybody buy that.
Yeah,
sealed.
It will be rare. I have no doubt. Castlevania's coming to 3DS on March 5. Naruto also.
I like Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I think it's cool.
I thought it was cool.
I'm warming up to it, yeah.
I played like a Chained to a Girl 30-minute demo of it at E3, and I really got into it.
Yeah, I think I will like.
It's ugly as sin, but it's really fun.
I think I will like this version of Lords of Shadow more than I say like the 360.
There's one of those coming out too.
Yeah,
there's Lords of Shadow too.
I never even hear anything about it.
Not for Wii U.
Yeah, that's true. That's another weird thing about Wii U, and I think that's. Well, I think that's why we're begging so much for more information, is because we're not getting BioShock. Apparently, we're not getting Tomb Raider. Apparently, we're not getting. We have no word on
Tomb Raider
GTA 5.
On Wii U.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like all these games aren't coming, so it's like, well, what do we get instead? And I think that's why there's such a feverish demand.
Well, Nintendo's sort of stuck between generations right now, and they need to really like either convince everyone who still has a game coming out that it needs to come out for them, or figure out what to do when games start coming out on way more powerful platforms.
Well, they also are seeing now that like Call of Duty is not being played at all, and that Assassin's Creed didn't sell at all. And it's like,
I know.
Should people be putting out third-party stuff in the Wii U? I mean, I don't really know. They're not going to make any money off.
I'm happy with it just being a Nintendo box. If Nintendo gives us enough games to play on it.
Do you guys think? This is a question we got from a few people. Do you guys think Smash Brothers comes out this year?
I think that if it doesn't, they show a significant amount of reasons why you should buy a Wii U this year for it eventually.
Okay. Do you think do you think it needs to be at E3 in some form, even if it's not coming out this year?
I have faith in that, because I think that the way Nintendo teased Smash Brothers Dojo was one of the smartest ways anyone has ever teased a video game. Period.
The weird thing about Dojo is like they went a little too far.
Yeah.
Because by the time I got the game, I was like, oh, I know every little thing that's in here. So
just in terms of like keeping that pendulum swinging on piecemeal hype, just like, hey, it's a crate. And you're like, oh, all right. And they're like, next week it's like, hey, it's Solid Snake. You're like, holy shit! Every single week was this like notion of you never knew what you're gonna get.
And I even loved seeing little details on like this item or that item or little silly things. That was all awesome. It was just like by the end of the day, the big problem was like they revealed Snake, they revealed Sonic, and that was amazing and huge. And then you're like, oh man, I can't wait to get Mega Man. And then you get into the game and you're like, oh, there's literally nothing else. I've literally seen everything in here. So that was a little bit rough. I think they need to balance that, which is funny because for a company that's so secretive, for them to reveal everything, that was very strange. Yeah. So any other final thoughts on 2013? We've answered some questions. I haven't called anybody out by name.
My final thing is that I want to see what Retro's working on this year.
Sure.
And they're working
do you think
on
we will? Do you think?
I think we'll see what it is. I just I still personally, they're like my favorite game company, and I just want to see what they're working on.
I mean, it feels right? Because I mean, come this fall, it'll have been 3 years since we saw Donkey Kong. So clearly they're working on something, possibly even a couple things if they have their teams, depending on how they have their teams structured.
And I just want to reiterate that it's January. It is very early in the year. It's been 2 months since the Wii U launched. Like we're gonna see things very soon.
I think here's the sort of my final thought on that is like we are only 2 months in, and we need patience, and there are still plenty of games already on Wii U, but at the same time, to have like this 2 month gap of releases and no information, meanwhile you're looking at all this stuff about BioShock and all this stuff about Tomb Raider and all this, Castlevania, Metal Gear, what's that, Revengeance, all these things like boom GTA, and on Wii U, like, just that's not there.
That is what's weird, is that this spring is like the biggest gaming spring that we will ever experience, and the Wii U is not part of it.
I was looking. That's the thing, is it feels like Wii U is not invited to a party.
It was part of the fall. It was part of the fall. It was a huge part of the fall, but right now it's not part of the spring.
And that's the weird thing, is like we're looking at the end of a console generation, the longest console generation we've ever had, and we're all ready for the next gen, and Xbox and the next PlayStation. And yet at the same time, it's just like there has never been a better time to own a 360 or PS3. But why am I owning my Wii U? Or why should I own a Wii U? Even if it's not right now that I have like a major game to play right now, at least I'm like, Smash Brothers.
If it can at the least bridge the 2 generations right now, then I don't know what to say. Because it's, why aren't we playing Dead Space on it? Why aren't we playing BioShock on it? And Tomb Raider and all those things,
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like Nintendo maybe didn't anticipate that, both in terms of a marketing and sort of like planning. I don't think anybody did.
I mean, a lot of those games were delayed in the fall.
Sure, and maybe their original expectation was all that was already going to be out, and then they would have been fine. But
maybe there's some problems with development. I mean, who knows? They're so secretive that we don't know why these games aren't.
I mean, we have heard a little bit about it in the sense that it is really only like an Xbox or a PS3. It's sort of that power level. When you're trying to relearn that, that's hard to do for a port.
I know specifically for a game like Dead Space 3 that it was never even begun to be working on a Wii U. No one ever even took a Wii U development kit and tried to put that.
Because if you think about it too, I mean, like, and we've seen some of the results of some of the really bad ports, like Epic Mickey 2. It's like you have this, 3 to 4 year development plan for whatever game. Say Dead Space. You have your development plan. And if a company is not telling you anything about their machine, are you going to try and plug that into your existing budget and idea with 6 months and be like, not only am I going to do that and allocate all this money for a platform that doesn't have a huge install base, I'm also going to have to learn how all this works and maybe use this new crazy controller. Exactly. It's a lot to ask. So
another thing I'll say besides the retro thing is that we haven't heard about any Zelda on 3DS or Wii U. So it's been since it's been a year since we've even heard about one.
And
because
there's
Skyward
rumblings,
Sword was
right?
the last one. So yeah,
Skyward Sword.
That,
we had
that's
this,
something that we can look forward to.
Yeah, we had Zelda Wii U.
Like I wouldn't put my money
footage.
on Metroid because who knows what's ever gonna happen to Metroid again. But like there's gonna be Zelda, and that like. They haven't talked about one in a while.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of Mario games that just came out, so I wouldn't expect the Mario
in
game.
1 year. Yeah, we've heard hints, right? So we know that. I mean, I asked Miyamoto what he would most like to see on Wii U, and he said Star Fox. We know we know
$100.
and I think he sort of vaguely mentioned Metroid, although that's a different director's sort of their priority. We do know that they're sort of toying with an idea of a Majora's Mask remake for 3DS, or possibly a Link to the Past sort of direct sequel concept. I'm actually kind of baffled that they've been doing new Super Mario Brothers games for 6-7 years now and never did, here's a new Zelda, like super old school, not even like counting Spirit Tracks or anything like that.
And now
like
they have this A team, B team thing. How cool would it be if they had like a B team do like a wacky new Zelda, and then like they had their A team be working on like a really cool Zelda? Like, that's such a cool concept that they did with Mario. And by the way, I'm referring to New Super Mario Brothers 2 was designed by a B team of engineers, and then New Super Mario Brothers U was like their A team. And they actually describe it as that. It's like these are the new guys, and then these are the veterans. That's a really cool concept to me because they can communicate with each other while they're co-developing these two different games. Like, what a cool development idea, and it would only work with Nintendo.
Yeah, and I love the idea that you can not only get an experience like New Super Mario Brothers, but you can also get the crazy sort of Galaxy stuff too. Like, let's have that with Zelda too. God,
That's what happened with Link's Awakening also. Like back in the day, that was a game that they were co-designing with Link to the Past to be Link to the Past on Game Boy.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, this isn't going to work as Link to the Past is a direct port, but we got a good game here.
Yeah.
And they made Link's Awakening.
Like one of the sort of
one of the best Zelda games.
A criticism of the Zelda series has been that, like Skyward Sword and all these games aren't taking enough risks. So take your risks in those and then go way back and give me super retro top-down Zelda.
But then people think about Other M and they're like, don't take risks in those.
I know it's sort of the ongoing battle, but I mean, and then you could farm it out a little bit. Let Capcom have this stab at doing another top-down Zelda adventure again.
Sure,
because that worked out pretty damn well last time.
I will say that it's not as easy as them going, here's a bunch of new Mario levels, because I mean those are all, there's no story there. It's just there's a cake and everyone's mad. And with Zelda, there's always has to be a story there too.
Sure. And you gotta have a story. You gotta have a little more of a gameplay
Unless it's like a Four Swords
innovation.
Adventures, which is like an interesting take on just play Zelda. Don't think about it.
Yeah. So I mean, actually, I love Rich's idea. I'd love to see something between Four Swords and like a Zelda 1 NES remake that's just in 3D or top down. It's HD and it's just like there's a bunch of overworlds and a bunch of underworld temple stuff, and go have fun, collect some items, progress.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Cool.
Nintendo's up to their own crazy shit.
All right, y'all. We're I think we've hit about an hour or so.
Perfect.
And it's an early day. We got a holiday coming up. So keep sending your questions in. Obviously, you can reach us all at Twitter. I'm at RichIGN. Sam, you are?
I'm Samuel_IGN.
And you are?
Agent Bizzle.
And then you can also send questions into mvc@ign.com, of course. And yeah, just stay tuned. I mean, it's going to really heat up, especially on the 3DS front. But we've got some Wii U games on the way. In about a month.
It's going to be a great year for the 3DS.
Yeah, I think
I'm so excited. I love my 3DS. It's the greatest thing.
My biggest question
I hope I say the same thing about Wii U.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm really curious for 3DS, like what's like kind of summerish, early fall. Like that's sort of my big question. But all right, thanks for listening or watching, depending on what you're doing. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
It's weird to think Nintendo's in this kind of position right now where